The sun was already high over the walls of Carthage, its heat pressing down on the city like a heavy hand. In the narrow streets, the air smelled of baked dust, market spices, and the faint tongue of the sea. But in the darkness beneath those streets, in the suffocating cells of the Roman prison, the air was thick with sweat, damp straw, and rusted iron. Perpetua sat on the cold stone, her back against the wall, the weight of the chain biting into her ankle. She was only 22, a noblewoman of education and refinement, but none of that mattered here. The hem of her white tunic was dark with grime, her hair tangled from sleepless nights. In her arms, she cradled her infant son, pressing her lips to his soft head, breathing in the pure, fleeting scent of him. She knew she would not hold him for long. Across the cell, Felicity groaned, one hand clutching her swollen belly. The guards jeered at her pain, their torches flickering against the stone as they passed. "If you cannot bear this," one mocked, "how will you face the beasts?" Felicity looked up, sweat beading on her brow, and her voice was steady despite her agony. "Now it is I who suffer. In the arena, it will be Christ who suffers in me." The cries of the newborn came at night. A Christian woman came to take the child, wrapping her in soft linen, the rustle of fabric the only gentle sound in the prison. Felicity lay back on the straw, her chest rising and falling in relief. Perpetua reached across the narrow space, squeezing her friend's hand. Days passed, the hours marked only by the clang of metal gates and the slow crawl of light across the cell wall. Perpetua's father came, pleading for her to live. His hands shook as he gripped the bars, tears streaking his weathered face. "Think of me, my daughter," he begged. "Think of your child. Deny this faith only once, and you may go free." She rose, her chains clinking, and looked into his eyes. "Father, tell me, what is this here? A picture, is it not?" He nodded. "Can it be called by any other name than what it is?" He shook his head again. "Neither can I be called anything other than what I am. A Christian." In the stillness of the night, Perpetua dreamed. She saw a golden ladder stretching up into the heavens, guarded at its base by a great dragon. The beast's scales glistened like wet stone, its eyes blazing with malice. She stepped forward, pressing her foot onto its head, and began to climb. The rungs cut into her hands, but she pulled herself upward, higher and higher, until she emerged into a garden unlike any she had known. The air was rich with the scent of blossoms. A cool wind stirred the grass. At the center stood the Good Shepherd, his robe white as light, his gaze warm and unyielding. He held out a vessel of fresh milk, and as she drank, she felt strength flood her soul. She woke knowing her fate was sealed, yet her heart was at peace. The day came. The roar of the crowd in the amphitheater rose like a living thing. Perpetua and Felicity walked into the light, dressed in simple white garments, their faces calm. The sun beat down, glinting off the iron gates. The smell of dust and sweat mingled with the acrid stench of fear. The gates opened, and a massive cow thundered into the arena. It struck Felicity, tossing her into the air. She hit the ground hard, dust rising around her. Perpetua, wounded by the horns, staggered but did not fall. She reached for her friend, pulling her upright, their eyes locking in silent encouragement. When the beasts failed to kill them, the executioner stepped forward. A young gladiator approached Perpetua, his sword trembling in his grip. She looked at him with pity, then reached up and guided his hand to her throat. One swift motion, and the world went still. The church remembers them not as victims, but as victors. Their names are spoken in the Roman canon, their courage honored by believers in every generation. On March 7th, the feast of Saints Perpetua and Felicity, the faithful recall the noblewoman and the servant, united in faith, sisterhood, and the crown of martyrdom. They remind us that love for Christ is worth more than life itself, and that those who stand firm will one day see the face of the Good Shepherd.